3:20. I would like to call the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee to order. It's Tuesday, July 16th, and we do have a quorum. I have two changes that I want to propose to the agenda. There is a new person that is doing the Sustainable Nantucket, and so they delivered their material yesterday to Maria, and with the approval of the board, I would like to add the two requests on the agenda for $10,300.45.
It's just one.
It's just one request, it's copied twice, to the agenda for the fund requisitions. And then because of the fact that we don't have everybody here, I'd like to defer the election of officers till next month when we have a full committee here.
Do you think we're gonna have a full committee? Because attendance has been terrible. So I don't know.
What was that amount you read out?
The amount is $10,300.45.
Who was that for?
It is for Sustainable Nantucket. It's not on your agenda, it's in addition to the agenda. With those two changes, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Can I just add that if we change the election to next month, we have to do it.
Yes.
Because I think we've been more than accommodating to everybody's schedule, and the attendance is poor. So it's unfortunate that they're not here.
Where they've all chosen to go to a funeral.
I know, and I went to his other funeral, so it's, you know, we all know the way the meetings go, and anyways, it's my
That's right.
bark.
Okay. Is there approval of the agenda as revised? Motion to approve, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There are two letters.
Minutes?
Approval of minutes.
Did we do the approval of the minutes?
Oh, sorry.
Motion to approve the minutes. How about that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. There is a request from NISDA, and Maria, I'd like to have you comment on it because you're the project manager with respect to that.
Right. Unfortunately, NISDA has been less than candid with this particular process. For their first grant, they received $75,000, 75% of their grant. The other one, 95, so they're well over their 50% allotment. They applied for this historic preservation deed restriction in 2017. What they gave us here is a draft and a lot of excuses. And I'm personally not inclined to give them a waiver for this because they've being very generous with them. They've had ample time to get this deed restriction done. And they change the dialogue every time I say, where is the deed restriction? And we hold all our other grantees to the same fire. And I think if we don't hold them to the fire, we'll never see the deed restriction. So I would not be inclined to give them any more funding until we see a deed restriction. And I'm usually not this hard-lined, but I have to stand my ground on this one.
Comments?
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I don't know all about back past history, but I do know that she has been trying to get that waiver thing in her hands since the beginning of the middle of April. And it's gone to Michael Mays. He has corrected it or done whatever had to be done, and it is now going back to be signed.
It just has to be reviewed by the Mass Historical Commission.
Yeah,
But what you have is draft.
right.
You
but
don't-
That's.
Well, but the letter says that NISDA and Preservation Trust are in agreement with the draft language that was prepared by Pfeiffer, who is the NPT, who is the consultant for the Preservation Trust.
I think we're being played, but it's up to you guys.
It looks like they started the process in 2017
Yes.
on this.
Right, so where is it? 2 years later, and a lot of money later.
Because they had,
Somebody broke their hip, I mean,
Diane is.
Go ahead, Diane.
no, I'm just saying that it's not because she didn't have it there. She did turn it into the places, but it got put behind, not put out on rapid speed. I talked to her, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago, and she had just come from, Michael's, and they had gone over it, and it seemed that Michael had done whatever he had to do, and that he was all right with it. So that's all I'm saying. It's not because she didn't want to do it, or she was too lazy to do it. She does all this stuff herself, so that's my story.
John?
Yeah, so when you say we shouldn't give them any more funding, do you mean not release any more money until it's in place,
the
or do you
way the
mean not
contract's written,
consider?
we are not supposed to do any more because of the 50% thing. And she's way over the 50% thing. I mean, it's right,
Yeah, in terms of the funding we've already approved, you're not talking about future funding. I mean,
yeah, until she gets a deed restriction, according to our contract with our grantees, can't find the thing, we're not allowed, right here, number.
do we have a request for a funding release right now?
Yeah, I mean, I can't sit down with, according to this, I can't sit down with her and do another status report until she does this. That's what it says right here. And Glenna apprised me of this. I've already given her 95% for the first one. I already screwed it up in terms of our document. And the only other thing is, while I can be sympathetic to Kathy's position, she's the client. She's paid Brian Pfeiffer to do this work, and that was in April of 2017. She delayed signing the contract. I don't know who's dragging their feet, but it should be done by now. And I have had umpteen meetings, conversations, and I've tried to walk her through this and give her a sense of the urgency. And just to give you an example, she calls me the other day and says, I have the deed restriction. Well, she doesn't. And so if you're not gonna be upfront with me, and I'm working this hard for your organization, well, I'm just not happy. And I'm not inclined to give away the taxpayers' money for somebody that isn't following our own contract. It's not my money.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Any indication of a timetable that they say they can do this? Have they said it's in a month or 5 months or?
30 to 60 days, but it might require additional review.
So what would be the harm in continuing it for a month and not giving out any funds? Are they saying with the less 5% that
They want to be able to file status reports and get money from us. I think they're asking you to give them a waiver for that. It's my understanding.
so what would be their incentive to complete it if we give them the rest of the money?
Right.
Oh, they.
In a timely fashion.
Well,
Yeah.
they're coming back in September, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right.
They have a lot more to do.
There's more than 5% of the funding still available for them to claim. Is that not correct?
I don't know, when Glenna contacted me and I reread all this, and I looked at the reports I wrote, in the first grant, they've only got $855 left in their kitty. And in the next one, they only have $82,941, am I right? No, I'm sorry, that's this project. 40,179 out of 1,585. So, we've been paying the bills, and I'm really, I think we've been bent over backwards, and I think that that's the only incentive for them to get the deed restriction done and in your hands, and to follow the memorandum of understanding that we have with everyone. Otherwise, you're not gonna see it.
I think we need to hold it to the fire, it's the only way to do it, only way you're gonna
Yeah,
get it
I
done.
mean, I hate to be the bad guy, but, and, you know, I think it's a great project, but we hold everybody to this piece of paper. Why not them? The churches did it, my church couldn't do it, you gave me a waiver for that one-time grant, and then I will never, the church won't come back for a grant, because they can't get a a deed restriction. So, those are the rules, everybody should be playing by the rules. That's my opinion.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Just being a new member and only coming to a couple of meetings and not being involved, I would have to trust Marie with her communication and her notes and things more so than anything. And I kind of agree, if we don't make a hard stand on this one or future ones, we're gonna set the tone for everyone else saying it's not important to complete what we have written in our agreements, to just be a little bit more flexible. I think if it were only 50% paid up, or there's 95%, there's a considerable amount of money and nothing really left to urge them into completing it, or in the time that we want them to complete it in. So I would tend to agree with Marie.
I feel the same way.
Diane?
I'm going to abstain.
Well, there's no motion yet. The thing that I'm struggling with is I think that it looks like the deed restriction itself on their end is now written, even though it took too long, but the piece that's left is a review that's kind of out of their hands. And from my perspective, I'm looking a little bit like another deal that we just did with NISDA that was a huge community benefit was the Francis Street, Washington Street corner. And they were so patient with dealing with land court, which was kind of out of the town's hands in terms of getting that process moved forward. So that's just my only concern, is maybe they were at fault in dragging their feet up till this point, but now they're at the mercy of the state in terms of their time frame. So that's just,
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, didn't this come up in April or May?
It came up in April,
In April, so April, May, June, July, I still haven't got anything from them. And I get this yesterday.
and I met with them.
So would it be conceivable not to put a negative, but just to continue it until next month to see if maybe the 30 to 60 days passes, there's more improvement, they're closer to getting the actual deed restriction, or it's filed in the next 30 days, and then by continuing it to the next month, yes, it would be unfortunate that 30 days passes by, but then we'd be able to act on it and vote an approval for
Yeah,
it.
because you really can't file a status report until August anyway, and make it absolutely clear that if the deed restriction is not there, that we're not, their funding is cut, their funding is over.
I would agree with
Yeah,
that,
give them
to
30
give
more
them
days.
till next month,
That's
since
a
there's no
reasonable-
request
I
in.
think-
Maria,
yeah.
do you want to talk to Michael?
I don't want to talk to anybody at this point. Like I said, I've talked to Kathy umpteen times. I know Brian Pfeiffer. He's being paid $7,000 to come up with this document. Kathy is the client. I've explained this to her. She needs to hold his feet to the fire. And it's not Michael May. Michael May is helping her.
Yeah, no, I wasn't meaning to blame him. I was meaning, because he says he will talk to us about any questions we might have about the.
I think she's just using Michael to soften us up. You know, really, the bottom line is Brian Pfeiffer's a professional. He gets paid money for the deed restriction.
Okay,
He's got to move.
I think by continuing it, they'll realize they're not getting their check in the mail, so they'd be prompted to give a call, where's our check? And we can say, well, how close are you to getting the deed
Right,
restriction?
we don't even
So
have hard
I don't
dates.
know you need to answer, if they really want the, you know, the balance, then they'll reach out, either get it done or call you and find out what the status is, and then we can,
That's a good
Get the
compromise.
work done.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
so
Okay,
I'll make a motion to continue, the Preservation Trust, motion or grant until next month.
okay. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the fund requisitions, items A through G, and the additional one of the Sustainable Nantucket. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions or issues with any of them? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Carries unanimously. There is no old business, no new business because we changed the agenda. If there's anything else that anyone would like to raise before we adjourn, our next meeting is Tuesday, August 30th. And I will represent to Maria that the election of officers will be on the agenda no matter how many people are here.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I would just offer this, if anybody does have a meeting, I know it's sporadic, you don't have a set meeting, but.
We do have a set meeting.
No, for each individual assigned.
Yeah.
Project.
Yeah, project.
Project.
If anybody does have a meeting coming up and they'd like me to shadow, I'm available just to see how the process is. So I'm always open, my cell phone, I'd be happy on short notice to go to someone's meeting if they'd be inclined to let me.
Yeah, and I probably will have one for Hospital Thrift Shop, and they are my best project in terms of punctuality, bills. They follow it to the letter of the law. So when I sit down with Kathy Ward, I'll have you stop in. One thing I do every month, because there's so much stuff happening, is as soon as this meeting's over, all my projects will get an email from me telling them when our next meeting is, telling them when the deadline is, and telling them that they have to meet with me before August 14th. I think it's August 14th, a Wednesday. And we made an exception for Tom because he's new and yada yada. And usually if it's a new, like Tom was new, so I sat down with him and we filled out the forms together. But after that, he's on his own. So, but that takes the burden off of you of tracking them down to say, you know, like, oh, I want to get my stuff in, but you know, so just did an email and it's done.
Anything else anyone would like to raise today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.